You are listening to the Shopify Solutions Podcast, a podcast for Shopify store owners that brings you concrete examples on how to build and grow your e-commerce brand. Your host is Scott Austin. He owns a Shopify agency called Jade Puma. In this podcast, Scott will share his e-commerce insights and best practices with you.
Hey, Scott Austin here. In this episode, I want to talk about a lot of the changes that are happening in the Shopify platform so that you can understand what's coming down the road as you get different messages from Shopify and different deadlines showing up. You'll be aware of what's happening and what you need to do to make the changes happen on your side so that it doesn't disrupt your business. Now, these changes are coming from different parts of the Shopify admin. One of those is in the Shopify accounts, which is how you and your store staff log into your Shopify admin. Another one is in customer accounts, and that's how your customers log into the front end of your website. And the last one is in the thank you and order pages. And I'm recording this in late February, and just last week, Shopify sent out an email with some deadlines about that, and that's causing a lot of confusion for people. So that's why we're going through this whole episode to explain those things. So I'm going to break down each one of those three buckets. And I'm going to start with the easiest one, and that is the Shopify accounts that you log into the Shopify admin with. If you go into your Shopify admin and click on settings in the lower left-hand corner, the fourth item down will either say users and permissions or users. If it says users, you're on the new Shopify staff account system. If it says users and permissions, you're on the old one. And your store will be automatically upgraded behind the scenes by Shopify. So you don't have to do anything for this one. But what may happen is if you're still on the old system and you get upgraded to the new system, different people in your store may lose certain access that they have because the rule set in the old system was different than the rule set in the new system. So for me as a Shopify agency, I've lost a lot of my connections to the stores as they get upgraded. We used to have permissions to do a certain thing, and then I no longer do. So then I sit down with the store owner and explain to them how to change the permissions and give me the permissions that I used to have under the new system. So it's a little bit of a pain if it happens to your store where the permissions are lost, but it just takes you a couple minutes to set it up under the new system, and then you'll be fine. And if you find yourself already under the new system, when you go to the settings, you see users, then you're already upgraded and there's nothing to worry about. So the next one is customer accounts. And this one does have some impact in stores and the customer experience. Now, the new account system uses what's called passwordless accounts. So people just put in their email address or their phone number and they get sent a code. So they don't have a password in the system. Now, there's pros and cons behind that, but that's the direction that Shopify has decided to go in. So that's the way Shopify is going to be in the future. And everyone needs to upgrade by August of this year to the new system. And any stores that are being created from scratch in the Shopify platform right now, they're automatically using the new system. Now, if you go into settings in your Shopify admin, you will see an item for customer accounts. And if you click on that, it'll quickly show you right at the top whether you're on the legacy or the old system. The new system is now called customer accounts. If you're still on the legacy, it'll say that it recommends you go to customer accounts. Now, upgrading to the new accounts is actually pretty easy, but there's some things to keep in mind. So all you have to do is click new accounts and it'll upgrade for you, but that can impact a couple things. The first one it can impact is if you have an app like for subscriptions or customer loyalty that is using the old accounts and that app doesn't support the new account system yet, you don't want to yet upgrade. So if you got an app for subscriptions or loyalty and you're thinking about upgrading, I would reach out to their customer support and ask them if their app is ready to be upgraded. Secondly, if your customers are used to putting in a username and password, that process is going to change. So you may want to be aware and tell your customer support people that, hey, there may be some customer confusion, and come up with a script to set their mind at ease and say, yes, it is different now, but this is the new way and this is the benefits of it and all that good stuff. Now, one of the nice things about the new account system is there are some benefits to it in that apps can integrate into that account system. So we now have a new account management page for customers. And in that page, they can see their orders and their order history, and they can also see other things. So apps can put in a tab For example, in the store I'm looking at right now, there's a My Reviews tab that was placed there by Judge Me. The customers can click on that and see any reviews they've left, and the app allows it, they could edit those. Or if there's a loyalty app that's integrated with it, they can see, their points and awards that they're getting. So there'll be one integrated experience for your customers to manage their accounts with all the different apps and services that you're providing. Now, one of the negatives in my mind is that this new account page doesn't have a lot of branding control for you, and it's actually managed by a different system than theme customization that we use for most of our store. So a lot of the things that you're doing in theme customization or apps that you've added in theme customizations don't help you inside of the accounts trying to make it look and feel like your brand. So there is a little bit of a jarring experience when you go from the store to the account page because it doesn't look like the same site if you've got some heavy branding in your store. So what we started doing for our clients is actually rolled out a private app where we are putting some information and some branding on that page to improve the experience for the consumers and support the brand. And we're actually going to roll that out as a public app pretty soon because we see a definite need for having more branding capabilities and messaging capabilities in that account setup. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do when you set up the new accounts, by default, if you upgrade to the new account system and someone logs into your store, the URL they see is shopify.com with a long number, which is your store's number, and then account in the URL. So they don't see your domain anymore, but you can easily add that. In the Shopify admin, if you go into settings under customer accounts, it'll down at the bottom talk about the URL and allow you to change that URL. And that's going to require you to do a DNS entry into your domain registrar. So if you're using GoDaddy, you're going to have to log into GoDaddy and update some settings there. It's a little bit technical, but it'll walk you through the process. And once you're done, your customers will now see your domain when they're in your account pages.
Want to build a loyal community around your brand? Events and classes are the perfect way to connect with your customers, but only if your calendar looks as professional as your store. But embedding a Google Calendar just won't cut it, as the calendar looks clunky and doesn't reflect your brand. That's why we created Branded Calendar, the Shopify app that lets you embed Google Outlook or Apple Calendars in your store while seamlessly matching your store's branding. Originally crafted for our private clients, Branded Calendar was so successful, we turned it into an app for every Shopify store. With Branded Calendar, you're in control of how your calendar looks and where it appears on product pages, contact pages, blog articles, or even your homepage. Keep your customers informed with schedules for retail hours, classes, or events. You can even share multiple calendars to meet different needs. And the best part? Branded Calendar includes a robust, always free plan so you can start building community. Risk-free. Engage your community and stay on brand with Branded Calendar.
And the next one we're going to talk about is the thank you and order status pages. And where you see those is under the settings in your Shopify admin, and then click on checkout. And up at the top, if you still need to upgrade, it'll actually say with a little blue background text, upgrade to your thank you and order status pages. Now, there's some things you're going to have to think about and look at before you just click the button and upgrade this one. On this checkout section, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a field that's order status page additional scripts. Now, this is where in the past we would add scripts to track things at the checkout. So the fact that your ads platforms could see that a person purchased something in your store, we would add code here to do it. We would also add code here for things like Hotjar and screen captures. And there were lots of different ways it would manually add code into this box. And this additional scripts box is going away in the new system. So one of the things you want to look at is, are you using the additional scripts box and what are you using it for? In my Jade Puma store, for example, I've got Clarity for screen captures and Hotjar for screen captures showing up, along with some Google Analytics stuff. So there's a few different things going on in there. And what I want to make sure before I upgrade it to the new process is that I have a way for those scripts to capture that data in the new system or the new process. Now, the way that happens is apps can now add code to the checkout process instead of us manually adding it in this box. And so if you're using the Google and YouTube sales channel or the Facebook sales channel, those apps are going to cover you for the advertising scripts needed for Facebook Pixel and Google. Now, if you're doing something like Pinterest advertising, you're going to want to add those scripts another way. The way that we're doing it at Jade Puma is we're using Google Tag Manager to add in scripts that don't have apps that support the script needs. Now, that does get quite a bit technical. So if you're going to do that level of upgrading, you're probably going to want to hire a Shopify expert or developer to help you out through that process. And once you've upgraded your store to the new account process, one of the ways where you can see how those different code snippets are being covered in your checkout is go into your Shopify admin and go to settings. And then on the list farther down, there's a section called customer events. And if you click on that, you'll see what apps and what code snippets are being placed in your checkout, and if it's done by an app or by custom code. So it's a nice way for you to get in and see what is happening with all those snippets. So for example, in the store that I'm looking at right now, the Klaviyo app is showing up, and I can see that it's already connected and things are all green. So you're going to make sure that all the tracking that you're doing on your different apps and services, when you upgrade to the new process, that they're all transferring from the old way we did it, which was those JavaScript code snippets in the checkout section, to now having apps or custom pixels added through the customer events section that's been added to your Shopify admin. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is a problem we've been having with a couple of our client stores. When we upgrade to the new customer account system, there's been some confusion on the customer side because of some things that took us a little while to figure out, but we got them figured out. And I'm not sure if this is happening because of the new customer accounts or if this is just something that happened in some other change that happened in the Shopify ecosystem somewhere along the way. But when customers are logging in, and we're seeing this a lot in wholesale stores where we'll set up a normal Shopify store and put in some custom code to make it a wholesale store, and we'll require customers to log in before they can see anything on the site. So that everybody's getting that login page under the new customer accounts when they go to the main URL for the store. And the problem that's been happening is with Shop Pay, if you've got that turned on, if the customer's logged into the Shop Pay ecosystem, then they're going to log into your store automatically through Shop Pay instead of using your customer account system. And what happens when they log in with Shop Pay, when they go to checkout, they automatically go to the Shop Pay checkout. And it's really confusing, especially in a wholesale store where you have customizations for things like price and payment types and shipping options. Well, in Shop Pay, the customizations you added to your Shopify store don't show up in that Shop Pay checkout. So if a wholesale customer is supposed to get 40% off of retail price and they're automatically getting logged in via Shop Pay, when they go to checkout, they're not seeing their price discount that you have probably an app added to add that price discount in the checkout process for them. So what we've been doing in some of our wholesale stores is actually going in and disabling Shop Pay and turning it off inside of that store. Now, you're not going to want to do that if you are getting a lot of customers through Shop Pay in a retail store. And I do wonder, there's kind of a cart and a horse there. Like, are you getting a lot of Shop Pay customers showing up in your order history because Shopify is automatically logging them into Shop Pay first? Or are they coming to you via Shop Pay? My guess is it's the former, not the latter, but that is just a guess. So you're definitely going to want to stay on top of this for your store and understand the user behavior. So the way you can go into your store and turn off Shop Pay is go to your Shopify admin and go to settings, and then click on payments. And then you're going to want to click on the Manage Shopify Payments button in the upper right. And it's a little bit deceiving because now you're on the Shopify Payments page. In the upper right-hand corner is a button that says Manage Payment Methods, but it's gray, so it looks like it's not active. But you can actually click on it. It is active. And then in that, you'll see a list of all your payment methods. And you'll see Shop Pay listed, and you can just toggle it off. And if you're doing that, toggling it off for Shop Pay because of a wholesale store type experience, you may want to do the same thing and turn off Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Amazon Pay farther down the list. And that way, there's just the credit cards that are showing up, and you may, in a wholesale store, have ACH or net terms options added as payment types via an app customization to your checkout process. But that's what you can do if you're having Shop Pay issues. You can actually turn it off as an option. Like I said, there's pros and cons behind that. So understand how your store is using Shop Pay and how your customers are using it before you take that action. All right, so that's a lot of the changes that I'm seeing happening right now that's causing confusion in stores from the Shopify updates that are ongoing at this time. So hopefully that helps you understand them and navigate them for your own store. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Shopify Solutions Podcast with Scott Austin. This podcast is brought to you by Jade Puma, a Shopify-focused agency located in San Diego, California. If you like what you heard, please leave a review and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to work with Scott on your brand, email him at scott@jadepuma.com.